Have you ever wondered what it is that makes others so happy? What habits have they cultivated over the years that continuously make them happy all around? Theories from the father of positive psychology, Martin Seligman, suggest that 60% of happiness is determined by our environment and genetics, while that 40% is all on us. It's important to know we can't be happy all the time. Otherwise, there'd be no such thing as happiness. It'd just be normal and constant, and we wouldn't be able to tell what happiness was. Ever pondered what it is that brings such joy to others? What routines have they developed over the years that consistently bring them joy? According to theories put out by Martin Seligman, the pioneer of positive psychology, our environment and heredity account for 60% of happiness, while we are responsible for the remaining 40%. It's critical to understand that we cannot be happy all the time, else pleasure would not exist. We wouldn't know what happiness was. It would just be usual and unchanging. Have you ever pondered what makes people so happy? What behaviors have they developed throughout the years that keep them pleased all around? According to Martin Seligman, the pioneer of positive psychology, our environment and heredity account for 60% of our happiness, while the remaining 40% is entirely our own. It's crucial to understand that we can't always be happy, else there wouldn't be any such thing as happiness. It would just be usual and consistent, and we wouldn't know what happy was. Have you ever contemplated the factors that contribute to the happiness of others? What behaviors have they developed over the years that have consistently resulted in their overall happiness? According to the theories of Martin Seligman, the founder of positive psychology, 60% of our happiness is due to our genetics and environment, while 40% is entirely our responsibility. It is crucial to recognize that happiness is not an entirely consistent state of being. Otherwise, there would be no such thing as happiness. We would be unable to discern what pleasure was, as it would be just a normal and consistent state. Ever pondered what makes others happy over the years? What habits have made them happy overall? Martin Seligman, the pioneer of positive psychology, believed that 60% of happiness is hereditary and environmental, and 40% is self-determined. We can't always be happy, otherwise there wouldn't be any happiness. It would be normal and consistent, making happiness impossible to define. According to a study published in PLOS 1, the most frequent human emotion is joy, followed by love and anxiety. People experience positive emotions 2.5 times more often than negative emotions, but also experience positive and negative emotions simultaneously, relatively frequently. If joy can be frequent in others, maybe we can develop some habits that make happiness a frequent emotion in us as well. Joy is the most common human emotion, followed by love and anxiety, per a study that was published in PLOS 1. In addition to experiencing both pleasant and negative emotions at the same time, somewhat regularly, people experience positive feelings 2.5 times more frequently than negative ones. If others can experience joy on a regular basis, perhaps we can form certain behaviors that will cause us to experience happiness on a regular basis as well. According to a study published in PLO 1, joy is the most common human emotion, followed by love and anxiety. Happy emotions occur 2.5 times more frequently than negative feelings. However, people occasionally experience both happy and negative emotions at the same moment. If joy is often in others, perhaps we can build practices that make happiness a frequent experience in ourselves as well. Joy is the most prevalent human emotion, followed by anxiety and affection, according to a study published in PLOS 1. Positive emotions are experienced by individuals 2.5 times more frequently than negative emotions. However, they're also experienced simultaneously, relatively frequently. If joy is a frequent emotion in others, it is possible that we can establish practices that will ensure that happiness is a frequent emotion in ourselves. A study in PLOS 1 found that joy is the most common emotion, followed by love and anxiety. Positive emotions occur 2.5 times more often than negative ones. However, they often occur simultaneously. If others are happy, we might acquire behaviors to be happy too. You should never give up on happiness. So to help you on your journey to joy, here are 10 helpful habits of happy people. Number 1, accept the positives in life. Happiness is something you should never give up. Here are some useful habits of happy individuals to aid you on your path to happiness. Now, first and foremost, embrace life's good aspects. Never give up on happiness. So to assist you on your path to joy, here are 10 beneficial habits of happy individuals. First and foremost, accept the wonderful aspects of life. It is imperative that you never abandon your pursuit of contentment. Therefore, in order to assist you in your pursuit of happiness, the following are 10 beneficial behaviors that are exhibited by individuals who are content. Accept the positive aspects of existence as the first step. Never give up on happiness. Happy people have 10 behaviors that can help you find joy. Accept the good things in life. We often look past what is good in our lives and focus on the negative. We ruminate on the worst scenarios, when instead we should always imagine what good can come from a situation. A good habit is to accept and acknowledge what you value and what makes you lucky. We frequently focus on the unpleasant aspects of our lives and ignore the positive ones. Instead, than focusing on the worst-case possibilities, we should constantly consider the positive aspects of a situation. Accepting and recognizing your blessings and values is an excellent practice. We frequently overlook the positive aspects of our lives and instead focus on the negative ones. We dwell on the worst-case possibilities when instead we should consider the positive aspects of a given situation. Accepting and acknowledging what you appreciate and how fortunate you are is a positive habit. We frequently overlook the positive aspects of our existence and concentrate on the negative. While it is advisable to envision the positive outcomes of a situation, we often dwell on the worst-case scenarios. It is beneficial to recognize and embrace the things that are important to you and that bring you joy. We often overlook the positive in our lives and focus on the bad. Instead of dwelling on the worst, we should consider the positives. Recognizing your values and blessings is an excellent habit. There are more things you're grateful for than you think. Number 2, don't fake a smile. Have you ever forced a smile and then felt emotionally drained from acting out an emotion you don't really feel? Some of us have jobs that require us to act in a certain way or smile all day, but when you can, it's better to smile only when you feel something positive. You may not realize how much you have to be thankful for. Second, don't pretend to smile. Have you ever acted out an emotion you don't truly feel by forcing a grin only to feel emotionally spent afterwards? It's best to grin only when you're feeling well, even though some of us have jobs that force us to act a certain way or smile all day. You are appreciative for more things than you realize. Number 2, do not fake a smile. Have you ever forced a smile and then felt emotionally drained after acting out an emotion you didn't feel? Some of us have jobs that force us to act a certain way or grin all day, but it's best to smile solely when you're feeling good. You are more appreciative of a greater number of items than you realize. Second, refrain from feigning a smile. Have you ever been emotionally depleted after feigning a smile in order to project an emotion that you do not truly feel? While certain occupations necessitate that we maintain a particular demeanor or smile throughout the day, it is preferable to smile solely when one is experiencing a positive emotion. You're grateful for more than you realize. Second, don't mask your smile. Ever forced to smile and felt emotionally exhausted from acting out an emotion you didn't feel? Some occupations compel us to smile all day, but when you can, smile solely when you're happy. A study published in the Academy of Management journal revealed faking a smile when you feel a negative emotion can likely worsen your mood. Number 3, hold on to your passions. If you have free time, do what makes you happy. According to a study that was published in the Academy of Management journal, pretending to smile while you're feeling down can probably make your mood worse. Third, stay true to your passions. Do what brings you joy if you have free time. According to a study published in the Academy of Management journal, pretending to smile while you're feeling down can really make you feel worse. Number 3, keep on to your passion. If you have free time, do whatever makes you happy. According to a study published in the Academy of Management journal, the act of feigning a smile when experiencing a negative emotion can potentially exacerbate one's mood. Third, maintain your enthusiasm. During your leisure time, engage in activities that bring you joy. A study in the Academy of Management journal found that faking a grin when upset can impair your mood. Number 3, keep your passions. Spend leisure time doing what you like. What do you enjoy? If you've had a long day and you just want to sit back and enjoy watching your favorite film or playing your favorite video game, this can relieve some of the pressure and leave you happy. If you want happiness to last the next day or week, leave some room for your passions as well. If you have a skill you can improve and love doing, you'll only see growth and better results through time and practice, and you'll enjoy it now and in the long run. What do you like? This can take some of the edge off your day and make you feel content if all you want to do is relax and watch your favorite movie or play your favorite video game. Make time for your passions as well if you want your happiness to last for the next day or week. You will only see progress and better outcomes with time and practice if you have a skill that you enjoy and can get better at. You will also appreciate it both now and in the future. What do you enjoy? If you've had a long day and just want to relax by watching your favorite movie or playing your favorite video game, this might help release stress and make you happy. If you want your happiness to linger for the next day or week, make time for your passions. If you have a skill that you can improve and enjoy performing, you'll see progress and better results over time and practice, and you will appreciate it both now and in the future. What activities do you find enjoyable? If you have had a long day and would like to relax and appreciate your favorite film or video game, this can alleviate some of the stress and leave you feeling content. In order to ensure that your happiness persists for the following day or week, it is important to allocate time for your pursuits. If you possess a skill that you are passionate about and can enhance, you will experience growth and superior outcomes as a result of time and practice. This will be a pleasure both now and in the future. What you like? After a long day, watching your favorite movie or playing your favorite video game can relax you and make you happy. To stay happy the next day or week, make place for your passions. A skill you can improve and love can only get better with practice, and you'll appreciate it now and in the future. Number 4, be around people you genuinely enjoy and love. Spend time with people who make you happy and remind you of what's worth living for. Go ahead and consider if there's someone in your life who makes you feel unhappy all the time. Fourth, surround yourself with people you truly love and like. Spend time with those who bring you joy and serve as a reminder of the purpose of life. Think about whether there is someone in your life who consistently brings you down. Number 4, spend time with those who you actually appreciate and love. Spend time with individuals who make you happy and remind you of what makes life worthwhile. Consider whether or not there is someone in your life who consistently makes you sad. Number 4, surround yourself with individuals whom you sincerely appreciate and cherish. Time spent with individuals who inspire joy and serve as reminders of the purpose of life. Consider whether there is an individual in your life who consistently causes you to experience unhappiness. Fourth, surround yourself with people you love. Spend time with pleasant people who remind you of life's value. Consider if someone in your life always makes you miserable. It's best to keep the healthy relationships you genuinely enjoy. Studies have shown that people are indeed happiest when around other happy people. So gravitate towards that joyful person in your life. The healthy relationships you truly like should be maintained. Individuals are actually happiest when they are with other happy individuals, according to studies. Therefore, try to find that happy person in your life. It is vital to maintain the good connections that you truly appreciate. According to studies, people are happiest when they're surrounded by pleasant people, so gravitate toward the happy person in your life. It is advisable to maintain the healthy relationships that you genuinely appreciate. Research has demonstrated that individuals are indeed most content when they are in the company of other individuals who are also content. Therefore, direct your attention to the individual who's experiencing joy in your life. You should maintain healthy, enjoyable connections. Studies reveal people are happiest with joyful people. Choose that happy person in your life. Ask them to hang out, invite them over, chat with them online. It may just improve your joy as well. Number 5, give back. Invite them over. Ask them to hang out or have a conversation with them online. It might even make you happier. 5th, give back. Ask them to hang out, invite them over, or talk to them online. It may also increase your joy. Number 5, give back. Request that they engage in conversation, extend an invitation to visit, or engage in online communication. It may also enhance your happiness. 5th, return the favor. Invite them over, chat online, or hang out. It may also boost your happiness. 5th, give back. Volunteer work has been found to improve mental health as well as physical health. So it's always a good idea to give back to others, not only for their happiness, but for yours as well. People who give experience the helper's high, according to researchers. It has been discovered that volunteering enhances both physical and mental wellness. Giving back to others is therefore always a good idea, both for their enjoyment and for your own. Researchers have shown that the helper's high is experienced by those who give. Volunteer labor has been shown to promote both mental and physical health. Giving back to others is always a good idea, not only for their benefit, but also for your own. According to researchers, people who give get the helper's high. Research has demonstrated that volunteer work has the potential to enhance both physical and mental health. Therefore, it is consistently advantageous to contribute to the well-being of others, not only for their sake, but also for yours. According to researchers, individuals who provide assistance experience the helper's high. Volunteering improves mental and physical well-being, so give back to others for their pleasure and yours. Researchers say donors get the helper's high. This is a euphoric state that can be activated when one acts in a charitable way. This euphoria is due to the reward center in our brains being triggered by the charitable act. It's very similar to a drug-induced high. When someone acts philanthropically, they can induce this joyful sensation. This exhilaration results from the charitable deed activating the reward region in our brains. It's quite similar to a high from drugs. This is a sensation of euphoria that can be induced by philanthropic acts. The charitable gesture activates our brain's reward region, resulting in euphoria. It's strikingly comparable to a drug-induced high. Acting in a charitable manner can induce this euphoric state. The charitable act triggers the reward center in our minds, which results in this euphoria. It is strikingly similar to a drug-induced euphoria. Charitable deeds induce this euphoria. The reward area in our brains activates during charity, causing euphoria. It resembles a narcotic high. Number 6, enjoy simplicity. Think about the little moments in your life that make you smile. Simple pleasures, nothing too big. Enjoy simplicity at number 6. Consider the small things that bring you joy in your life. Simple joys, nothing overly grand. Number 6, enjoy simplicity. Consider the simple things in your life that make you smile. Simple pleasures, nothing overly extravagant. Sixth, relish simplicity. Take a moment to reflect on the small instances in your life that bring you joy. Simple indulgences, nothing too substantial. Sixth, enjoy simplicity. Consider the simple things that make you happy, pleasantries of small size. Can you think of them? Go ahead. I'm waiting. Yeah, you got one. No, why do you think you have this tiny experience stored in your memory vault? Because it's the simple moments we often enjoy without realizing we're often happiness when we don't realize we're feeling happy. Do you have any ideas about them? Go ahead and wait for me. You have one. Do you? What makes you believe that this small encounter is kept in your memory vault? Because we frequently take pleasure in the small things without recognizing it. We frequently experience bliss without even realizing it. Can you think of any? Go ahead, I'm waiting. Yes, do you have one? Why do you believe you have this little experience saved in your memory vault? Because we frequently appreciate simple moments without even recognizing it. We are often joyful even when we are unaware of it. Would you be able to remember them? Proceed. I'm anticipating your arrival. Yes, do you possess one? What's the reason you believe you have this small experience preserved in your memory vault? Because it is the uncomplicated moments that we frequently relish without realizing it. We frequently experience pleasure without being aware that we are doing so. Do you recall them? Go ahead, I'm waiting. You got one? Why do you suppose your memory vault has this minor experience? Because we love simple times without recognizing it. We're often joyful without realizing it. So, take pleasure in the simple moments in life. Pouring a fresh cup of coffee, sitting out on your porch, reading a good book. No, this isn't a coffee commercial, but it's in these little pleasures that we take for granted. Number 7, consciously try to be happy, and it will improve your emotional well-being. Enjoy the small things in life, like making a fresh cup of coffee, relaxing on your porch, and reading a good book. We take these small pleasures for granted, but this isn't a coffee commercial. 7th, make a conscious effort to be joyful. This will enhance your emotional health. Take delight in the simple things in life, like brewing a fresh cup of coffee, sitting on your porch, and reading a nice book. No, this is not a coffee ad, yet it is in these little pleasures that we take for granted. Number 7, make a conscious effort to be joyful. This will boost your emotional well-being. Therefore, relish the basic pleasures of life, such as sipping a freshly brewed cup of coffee, reading a captivating book, or relaxing on your porch. No, this is not a coffee advertisement. Rather, it pertains to the trivial delights that we overlook. Number 7, make a conscious effort to experience happiness, as this will enhance your emotional well-being. Enjoy the simple things in life, pouring a cup of coffee, sitting on your porch, reading a book. Not a coffee ad, but we take these minor pleasures for granted. 7, attempt to be happy to boost your mood. You don't say? Yeah, I know this sounds obvious and many of us have tried, but according to research, this may just work for you. 2 studies published in the Journal of Positive Psychology found those who actively tried to feel happier during their study reported positive moods at the highest level out of the subjects. Number 8, find purpose in your life. You don't say? Yes, I am aware that this seems apparent and that many of us have tried it, but research suggests that it might just work for you. According to 2 research that were published in the Journal of Good Psychology, the subjects who made a concerted effort to feel happier during the study had the highest levels of good emotions. 8th, discover your life's purpose. You aren't saying, yeah, I know this sounds basic, and many of us have tried it, but research suggests that it may work for you. 2 research published in the Journal of Positive Psychology discovered that individuals who actively tried to feel happier during their study had the highest degree of positive emotions among all subjects. Number 8, discover your life's purpose. No, you do not specify. I understand that this may seem apparent, and many of us have attempted it. However, research suggests that it may be a viable solution for you. Two studies published in the Journal of Positive Psychology discovered that the subjects who made an intentional effort to experience happiness during the course of the study reported the most positive moods. Eighth, identify a sense of purpose in your existence. Don't say? This seems obvious and many have tried it, but evidence suggests it may help for you. Two Journal of Positive Psychology research indicated that participants who actively tried to feel happier had the highest levels of positive moods. 8. Discover meaning. What is the meaning of life? What does it all mean? The purpose of life isn't what you should be entirely focused on. Instead, you should explore what your purpose in life is. Happy people are driven by their purpose. What is life's purpose? What is the meaning of it all? You shouldn't spend all of your time thinking about the meaning of life. Rather, you ought to investigate your life's purpose. Purpose is what motivates happy individuals. What is the meaning of life? What does all this mean? The purpose of life is not something you should be completely focused on. Instead, think about what your life's mission is. Happy people are motivated by their purpose. What is the purpose of life? What is the significance of this? The objective of existence is not the sole focus of your attention. Rather, you should investigate the nature of your life's purpose. A sense of purpose motivates individuals who are content. The meaning of life. All of it means what? Not everything should be about life's purpose. Instead, discover your life mission. Purpose drives happiness. This is something they decide, and it's something that makes them happy. The possibilities are endless. What do you enjoy? How can you incorporate that into your purpose of life? Number 9, practice resilience. They have made this decision, and it brings them happiness. There are countless options. What do you like? How can you make that part of your life's purpose? Practice resilience at number 9. This is their decision, and it makes them happy. The options are limitless. What do you enjoy? How can you combine this into your life's purpose? Number 9, develop resilience. This is a decision that they make, and one that brings them joy. The opportunities are limitless. What activities do you find enjoyable? How can you integrate this into your life's purpose? Resilience is the 9th practice. This is their choice and makes them happy. Endless possibilities. What you like, can you fit that into your life purpose? Number 9, be resilient. You may be thinking the opposite of depression is happiness, but not according to psychologist Peter Kramer. Kramer suggests resilience is the opposite of depression, not happiness. The truth is, even the happiest of people have faced hardships, and worries and struggles still exist for them. Peter Kramer, a psychologist, disagrees with the notion that happiness is the antithesis of depression. According to Kramer, resilience, rather than happiness, is the antithesis of sadness. In actuality, even the happiest people have experienced difficulties, and they continue to worry and battle. You may believe that happiness is the antithesis of depression, but psychologist Peter Kramer disagrees. Kramer contends that resilience is the antithesis of sadness, not happiness. The truth is that even the happiest people have had hardships, and their anxieties and challenges continue to exist. You may be under the impression that contentment is the antithesis of depression. However, psychologist Peter Kramer disagrees. Kramer posits that resilience is the antithesis of depression, not pleasure. The reality is that even the most content individuals have encountered adversities, and they continue to experience concerns and struggles. Psychologists like Peter Kramer disagree that happiness is the opposite of depression. Kramer says resilience opposes depression, not enjoyment. Even the happiest people have problems and fears. Everyone is bound to fall into the hole of sadness every now and then, but the happiest people foster resilience and climb out of that hole despite how deep it may seem. Be prepared for struggles, but be prepared to fight back no matter what. And number 10, they value real conversations. Everybody will occasionally fall into a pit of sadness, but the happiest individuals develop resilience and emerge from it, no matter how deep it appears. Be ready to fight back in no matter what, but be ready for challenges. And 10th, they appreciate genuine dialogue. Everyone is going to fall into a hole of grief every now and then, but the happiest individuals cultivate resilience and climb out of it, no matter how deep it appears. Prepare for challenges, but be ready to fight back, no matter what. And number 10, they cherish genuine conversations. While it is inevitable that everyone will occasionally sink into a state of melancholy, the most content individuals cultivate resilience and emerge from the depths of despair, regardless of how profound the depression may appear. Be prepared for obstacles, but also be prepared to resist them, regardless of the circumstances. Number 10 is that they prioritize genuine conversations. Everyone gets unhappy sometimes, but the happiest individuals build resilience and climb out. Be prepared for challenges, but fight back anyway. 10th, they cherish honest communication. Cut the chit-chat and let us talk about something real. What feelings do we want to express? What are we holding back? What makes us excited, passionate, happy? Talk about these things. One of the top 5 regrets of those dying is that they wish they'd had the courage to express their feelings throughout their life. Stop chatting and let's discuss something important. What emotions do we wish to convey? What do we have to hold back? What brings us joy, passion, and excitement? Discuss these topics. Those who are dying list wishing they had the guts to express their emotions earlier in life as one of their top 5 regrets. Let's get rid of the chit-chat and talk about something serious. What feelings do we wish to express? What are we holding back? What makes us excited, passionate, and happy? Talk about these things. One of the top 5 regrets of the dying is that they wish they had had the bravery to communicate their sentiments all their lives. Discontinue the idle conversation and engage in a substantive conversation. What emotions do we wish to convey? What are we withholding? What evokes feelings of energy, enthusiasm, and joy in us? Discuss these matters. One of the top 5 regrets of the deceased is that they wish they had had the courage to convey their emotions earlier in life. Stop chit-chatting and discuss about genuine stuff. We wish to express what feelings. We're hiding what? Why are we excited, passionate, happy? Talk about these. Death regrets include wishing they'd had the courage to communicate their feelings throughout their lives. A study published in Psychological Science further shows this habit is a must. Researchers found that individuals who take part in substantive conversation as opposed to small talk and unimportant topics had more feelings of satisfaction. So when you're feeling gloomy about the weather, it's not because it's raining, it's because you're talking about the weather. This behavior is essential, according to a study that was published in Psychological Science. Researchers discovered that people felt more satisfied when they engaged in meaningful conversation as opposed to idle chatter and irrelevant subjects. The reason you're feeling depressed about the weather isn't because it's raining. Rather, it's because you're discussing it. Yeah. A research published in Psychological Science demonstrates how important this behavior is. Researchers discovered that those who engage in serious conversation rather than small talk and inconsequential issues, report higher levels of satisfaction. So if you're feeling down about the weather, it's not because it's raining, it's because you're discussing it. This habit is essential, as demonstrated by a study published in Psychological Science. Researchers discovered that individuals who engage in substantive discourse as opposed to small talk and unimportant topics experience greater levels of satisfaction. So the reason you are feeling down about the weather is not that it is raining, it is because you're discussing the weather. Psychological science confirms this practice is essential. Researchers concluded that serious discourse was more satisfying than casual talk and trivial issues. Thus, talking about the weather makes you gloomy, not the rain. When in doubt, the meaning of life is always a great conversation starter. So, which habits will you practice? How will you implement them into your daily life? Share with us and the many Psych 2 goers in the comments down below. It may seem difficult now, but as quoted by one of the greatest films of all time, happiness is just a teardrop away. When in doubt, asking about life's purpose is always a smart way to start a conversation. Which habits are you going to follow? How are you going to incorporate them into your everyday routine? Please share in the comment section below with us and the many Psych 2 goers. Happiness, as stated in one of the best movies ever made, is just a teardrop away, even though it may seem hard right now. When in doubt, the purpose of life makes an excellent conversation starter. So, which habits are you going to practice? How will you incorporate them into your regular routine? Please share with us and the many Psych 2 goers in the comment section below. It may appear difficult today, but as one of the best films of all time says, happiness is only a teardrop away. The significance of life is consistently an excellent conversation starter when uncertain. So which behaviors will you implement? In what manner will you integrate them into your daily routine? Please share your thoughts with us and the numerous Psych 2 goers in the comment section below. It may appear challenging at present, but as one of the finest films of all time once said, happiness is only a teardrop away. The meaning of life is a wonderful conversation starter when in doubt. What habits will you practice? How will you apply them daily? Comment below to share with us and other Psych 2 goers. It may seem hard now, but one of the best films ever said happiness is just a teardrop away. Ah, good old Shrek 2. Now that makes me happy. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to click the like button and share this video with someone who might need a little happiness. Subscribe to Psych 2 Go and hit the notification bell icon for more content like this. Good old Shrek 2. Oh, that brings me joy now. Please remember to use the like button and forward this video to anyone you think could use a little cheering up. For more material like this, press the notification bell icon and subscribe to Psych 2 Go. Oh, good old Shrek 2. Now that makes me happy. If you found this video useful, please click the like button and share it with someone who could use some happiness. Subscribe to Psych 2. Go and tap the notification bell button to get more material like this. I miss the classic Shrek 2. This is a source of joy for me. If you found this video to be beneficial, please remember to select the like button and share it with someone who may benefit from a little happiness. For additional content similar to this, subscribe to Psych 2 Go and select the notification chime icon. Good old Shrek 2, it makes me joyful. If you like this video, please like and share it with someone who needs a smile. For more articles like this, subscribe to Psych 2 Go and hit the notification bell. And as always, thanks so much for watching. You might assume that we are creatures that are built to be happy, but the sad thing is that we're really not wired for happiness. Natural selection honestly doesn't care how we feel. It really just wants us to survive and reproduce. As again, thank you so much for watching. You might think that humans are naturally cheerful beings. Unfortunately, humans aren't actually wired for happiness. The goal of natural selection is just for us to survive and procreate. It genuinely doesn't care how we feel. And as always, thank you for watching. You might believe that we are beings designed to be joyful, but the unfortunate truth is that humans are not wired for happiness. Natural selection does not care how we feel. It only wants us to survive and reproduce. And as always, I am grateful for your attention. It is possible that you believe that we are organisms that are designed to be joyful. However, the unfortunate reality is that we're not truly wired for contentment. Natural selection is genuinely indifferent to our emotions. Its primary objective is to ensure our survival and procreation. Thanks again for viewing. You could think we're happy-natured. Unfortunately, we're not predisposed to happiness. Natural selection wants us to survive and reproduce, not how we feel. And that doesn't necessarily involve being happier. People are less happy than they ever have been. In the United States, around 40% of college students report being too depressed to function most days. And happiness isn't a prerequisite for that. Happiness is lower than it has ever been. About 40% of college students in the U.S. say they are too depressed to function most days. That does not necessarily imply being cheerful. People are less joyful now than they have ever been. In the United States, over 40% of college students report feeling too melancholy to function most days. And this does not necessarily entail an increase in happiness. The level of happiness among individuals is at its lowest point in history. Approximately 40% of college students in the United States indicate that they are unable to function on most days due to depression. That may not mean happiness. More people are unhappy than ever. Nearly 40% of U.S. college students are too depressed to function most days. We see the same kind of thing in older individuals. We're doing something wrong. We have all these misconceptions. When it comes to the simple things we could all be doing to feel better. We observe the same type of thing in elderly people. We're making a mistake. When it comes to the easy things we might all be doing to feel better, we all have these misunderstandings. We observe the same thing in older people. We are doing something wrong. We have so many misconceptions about the easy things we can all do to feel better. The same phenomenon is observed in elderly individuals. We are committing an error. There are numerous misconceptions regarding the straightforward actions that we could all take to improve our well-being. Similar things happen to older people. We're making mistakes. We have all these assumptions about easy things we can do to feel better. I'm Laurie Santos. I'm a professor of psychology at Yale University and host of the Happiness Lab podcast. I study the science of happiness. My name is Laurie Santos. I host the Happiness Lab podcast and teach psychology at Yale University. The science of happiness is what I investigate. I am Laurie Santos. I'm a psychology professor at Yale University and the host of the Happiness Lab podcast. I investigate the science of happiness. I am Laurie Santos. I am the presenter of the Happiness Lab podcast and a professor of psychology at Yale University. I'm an expert in the field of pleasure science. Hi, Laurie Santos. I host the Happiness Lab podcast and teach psychology at Yale. I study happiness science. In order to feel happier, we really need to come to terms with the fact that our mind is kind of lying to us. We experience what psychologists like Dan Gilbert and Tim Wilson have called miswanting. Miswanting is the act of trying to go for certain things that we assume are going to make us feel happy, but then they don't make us as happy as we think. We truly need to accept that our minds are somewhat deceiving us if we want to feel happier. We go through what psychologists like Tim Wilson and Dan Gilbert have dubbed miswanting, the act of striving to pursue specific things that we believe will make us happy, but that don't turn out to be as fulfilling as we had anticipated is known as miswanting. To be happier, we must first accept that our minds are deceiving us, saying, we suffer what psychologists Dan Gilbert and Tim Wilson refer to as miswanting. Miswanting is the act of attempting to pursue things that we believe will make us happy, but which do not make us as happy as we expect. In order to experience greater happiness, it is imperative that we acknowledge that our minds are somewhat deceptive. Our experience is characterized by what psychologists such as Dan Gilbert and Tim Wilson refer to as miswanting. Miswanting is the process of attempting to pursue specific items that we believe will bring us joy, only to discover that they do not produce the same level of happiness as we anticipated. To be happier, we must accept that our mind is deceiving us. We experience miswanting, say psychologists Dan Gilbert and Tim Wilson. Miswanting is seeking to get things we think will make us happy but don't. Because there are these annoying features of the mind that cause us to get happiness wrong. And one of the biggest annoying features of the mind is the fact that we all have these intuitions about the kinds of things we should be doing to feel better. But the research shows that many of those intuitions are just incorrect. Because of these irksome mental traits that lead us to misinterpret happiness, and we all have these instincts about what we should be doing to feel better, which is one of the most frustrating aspects of the mind. However, the study reveals that a large number of those intuitions are just wrong. Because there are irritating psychological aspects that cause us to misinterpret happiness. One of the most frustrating aspects of the mind is that we all have intuitions about what we should do to feel better. However, evidence demonstrates that many of these intuitions are just inaccurate. Because the mind has these irritating characteristics that cause us to misinterpret the concept of pleasure. One of the most irritating aspects of the mind is the fact that we all possess intuitions regarding the actions we should take to improve our well-being. However, the research indicates that a significant number of these intuitions are simply incorrect. Well, because irritating mental traits cause us to misjudge enjoyment. One of the most frustrating aspects of the mind is that we all have intuitions about how to feel better. Many of those intuitions are wrong, according to study. Take, for example, money. So many of us think that if we just got more money, we'd feel happier. But if you have enough money to put food on the table and a roof over your head, more money isn't going to make you happier. Consider money as an example. Many of us believe that we would be happier if we just had more money. However, having more money won't make you happier if you already have enough to cover your housing costs and put food on the table. Take money as an example. So many of us believe that if we only had more money, we would be happier. However, if you already have enough money to put food on the table and a roof over your head, more money will not make you happy. For instance, consider the concept of money. Many of us believe that we would experience greater happiness if we simply acquired more money. However, if you have sufficient funds to provide for your basic needs and afford a roof over your head, accumulating additional funds will not bring you greater joy. Consider money. So many of us think more money will make us happier. More money won't make you happier if you can afford food and shelter. The same is true for so many things: getting a promotion, material possessions, getting married. We kind of get the Rolling Stones idea wrong. For a lot of things, the same is true. Acquiring material goods, getting married, and becoming promoted. We sort of misunderstand the Rolling Stones. The same is true for a variety of things: obtaining a promotion, material goods, and getting married. We have some misconceptions about the Rolling Stones. This holds true for an abundance of items. Achieving a promotion, acquiring material possessions, and marrying. The Rolling Stones concept is somewhat misunderstood by us. This applies to many things: promotion, wealth, marriage. We misunderstand the Rolling Stones. We think the problem is that we can't always get what we want. The problem is that if we got what we wanted, we probably still wouldn't be happy because we want the wrong things. We believe that not always being able to get what we desire is the issue. The issue is that we most likely wouldn't be content even if we achieved our goals, because our desires are misguided. We believe the problem is that we cannot always get what we want. The trouble is that even if we received what we desired, we probably wouldn't be satisfied. We want the wrong things. We believe that the issue is that we are unable to consistently obtain our desired outcomes. However, the issue is that we would likely remain unsatisfied even if we were granted our desires, because we desire the incorrect things. We assume the issue is the inability to constantly acquire what we desire. We probably wouldn't be happy if we received what we wanted. We want the wrong things. A second annoying feature of the mind is the fact that we tend to not think in objective terms. We tend to compare all our outcomes in life to something else. This is what's known as setting a reference point. Our propensity to think subjectively is a second unpleasant aspect of the mind. All of our life's results are often compared to something else. This is referred to as establishing a reference point. A second bothersome quality of the mind is that we do not think objectively. We often compare all of our life outcomes to something else. This is known as setting a reference point. A second irritating characteristic of the mind is that we have a propensity to not think in objective terms. We have a propensity to evaluate all of our life outcomes in relation to something else. This is referred to as establishing a reference point. Another unpleasant mind trait is our tendency to think subjectively. We compare all life outcomes to something else. Reference points are set here. We're constantly comparing what we have to other people. Compare our salaries, compare our looks, compare how happy our marriage is, even compare how much sex we're getting. And that's a problem because it means we could be doing objectively quite well in life. We're always evaluating ourselves against others. Compare our earnings, our appearance, the level of happiness in our marriage, and even the amount of sex we have. And it's problematic because it implies that we might be living fairly successfully on an objective basis. We are constantly comparing ourselves to others. Compare our salaries, appearance, marital happiness, and even the amount of sex we have. And this is a concern because it implies that we may be doing fairly well in life. We are perpetually evaluating our possessions in relation to those of others. Compare our salaries, our physical appearances, the contentment of our marriages, and even the quantity of sexual intercourse we engage in. And this is a concern because it implies that we could be doing quite well in life objectively. We continually compare ourselves to others, compare our salaries, appearance, marriage happiness, and sex. This is a dilemma because we could be doing well in life objectively. But as long as there's somebody out there who's doing better than us, we're going to feel bad. Another annoying feature of the mind is that our minds tend to get used to stuff. When you first have an experience, it's glorious. We will feel guilty, though, as long as there's someone out there doing better than us. The tendency of our minds to become accustomed to things is another irritating aspect of the mind. The first time you have an experience, it's wonderful. But as long as there's someone out there doing better than us, we'll feel horrible. Another irritating quality of the mind is the tendency to become accustomed to certain things. When you first have an experience, it's wonderful. However, we will continue to experience regret as long as there is an individual who is performing better than we are. Another irritating aspect of the mind is that it has a propensity to become accustomed to certain stimuli. It is a magnificent experience when it's first encountered. We'll feel horrible as long as someone is doing better. Our minds get habituated to things, which is frustrating. An experience is amazing when first had, but over time, you kind of get used to it. This is what researchers call hedonic adaptation. It means that things that initially impact our happiness a lot, they stop having the same impact over time. You sort of get used to it, though, over time. Researchers refer to this as hedonic adaptation. It implies that over time, things that have a significant initial impact on our happiness lose that impact. However, you eventually get used to it. This is what experts refer to as hedonic adaptation. It indicates that items that have a significant initial impact on our happiness lose that impact over time. However, with time, one becomes accustomed to it. Hedonic adaptation is the term used by the researchers to describe this phenomenon. It implies that the things that initially have a significant influence on our happiness diminish in their effectiveness over time. You get used to it eventually. Researchers term this hedonic adaptation. It indicates that things that first make us happy lose their impact with time. There's an additional problem with hedonic adaptation, which is that we don't really know that it's happening. And that leads to an additional bias that's known as the impact bias. We assume that if something good happens, it's going to impact our happiness a lot and for a really long period of time. Another issue with hedonic adaptation is that we aren't always aware that it's taking place, and the impact bias is another prejudice that results from that. We believe that if something positive occurs, it will have a significant and lasting effect on our happiness. There's another issue with hedonic adaptation. We don't realize it's happening. This creates an additional prejudice known as the impact bias. We think that if something positive happens, it will have a significant and long-term impact on our happiness. An additional issue with hedonic adaptation is that we are not entirely aware that it is occurring. This results in an additional prejudice, which is referred to as the impact bias. We make the assumption that any positive event will have a significant and long-lasting effect on our contentment. We don't know hedonic adaptation is happening, which is another issue. This creates the impact bias. We expect nice things to make us happy for a long time, but the evidence suggests it doesn't. We're biased about the particular impact that any event might have on our happiness. That's the impact bias. However, the data indicates that it doesn't. We have preconceived notions regarding the specific effect that each given occurrence may have on our level of satisfaction. The impact bias is that. However, the data says otherwise. We are biased about the specific impact that any event may have on our happiness. That is the impact bias. However, the evidence indicates that it does not. We are biased toward the specific effects that any event may have on our pleasure. That is the consequence bias. The evidence says otherwise. We're biased regarding how any event affects our happiness. That's impact bias. When we think about the annoying features of the mind, the bad news is that those mistakes seem to be built in. Everyone's walking around with minds they will inevitably miswant. The real way to thwart our biases is to behave differently. The bad news is that those errors appear to be ingrained in the mind when we consider their irksome aspects. Everybody's moving around with minds that will eventually become dissatisfied. Behaving differently is the true method to overcome our prejudices. When we consider the bothersome aspects of the mind, the bad news is that such flaws appear to be built in. Everyone is wandering about with minds that are unavoidably misguided. The actual method to overcome our biases is to behave differently. In contemplating the mind's irritating attributes, the unfortunate reality is that these errors appear to be inherent. Everyone is wandering around with minds that will inevitably be misguided. The genuine method of overcoming our biases is to adopt a different approach. The bad news about unpleasant mental features is that mistakes seem built in. There are minds that will miswant everywhere. We can overcome our biases by changing our behavior. There's a whole set of practices I like to call rewirements. All of us can engage with rewiring our own habits in order to change our behaviors and feel better. When we think about the behaviors that we need to change as part of our rewirements, there's one big one that comes up initially. I like to refer to a broad group of practices as rewirements. To alter our actions and improve our moods, we may all work on rewiring our own patterns. There is one major behavior that immediately springs to mind when we consider the behaviors we need to modify as part of our rewirements. There are several methods that I refer to as rewirements. Everyone can work on rewiring our own patterns in order to modify our behaviors and feel better. When we consider the habits that need to be changed as part of our rewirements, one major one comes to mind right away. I refer to a comprehensive collection of practices as rewirements. In order to alter our behaviors and improve our well-being, it is possible for each of us to engage in the process of rewiring our own routines. Initially, there is one significant behavior that arises when we consider the behaviors that need to be altered as part of our rewiring. I call these practices rewirements. We can all rewire our routines to feel better and change our behavior. One major behavior change comes to mind when we think of our rewirements. Social connection. Every available study of happy people suggests that happy people are more social. They physically spend time around other people, and they tend to really prioritize time with their friends and family members. Social ties. According to every study on happy people that is currently accessible, happy people tend to be more social. They physically interact with others, and they frequently place a high value on spending time with their loved ones. Social connections. Every existing study on happy people indicates that they are more social. They physically interact with others and place a high value on spending time with their friends and family. Social connection. Happiness is associated with increased social interaction, according to every available study on the subject. They prioritize spending time with their friends and family members and are physically present in social situations. Human interaction. Every research of cheerful people implies they're more social. They prioritize spending time with friends and family. Our lack of social connection really comes from the fact that we have this strong intuition that it kind of doesn't matter. There's lots of work by Nick Epley for a bias that's known as undersociality. We just systematically misestimate how good social connection will feel. Our deep-seated sense that it doesn't really matter is the main cause of our lack of social connections. Nick Epley has written a great deal about a bias called undersociality. We simply consistently underestimate the positive effects of social connections. Our lack of social connection stems from a deep intuition that it doesn't important. Nick Epley has done a lot of work on the undersociality bias. We just consistently underestimate how pleasant a social connection will feel. Our lack of social connection is primarily due to our strong intuition that it is of little consequence. Nick Epley has conducted a significant amount of research on a bias that is referred to as undersociality. Systematically, we underestimate the extent to which a positive social connection will be felt. Our lack of social connection stems from our strong intuition that it doesn't important. Nick Epley has done much on undersociality bias. We consistently underestimate the joy of social connection. Instead of scrolling through social media, use your phone to actually be a phone and call someone that you care about. These simple acts of connecting in real life, ideally but especially in real time, can significantly improve the well-being. Another behavior that we know really affects our happiness is doing nice things for other people. Use your phone as a phone and give someone you care about a call rather than browsing social media. These little in-person interactions, preferably in real time, can have a big impact on well-being. We also know that doing good deeds for other people has a significant impact on our happiness. Instead of surfing through social media, use your phone like a phone and call someone you care about. These basic acts of connecting in real life, ideally in real time, can have a big positive impact on well-being. We know that doing good things for others has a positive impact on our happiness. Rather than perusing social media, utilize your phone as a telephone and contact a loved one. Ideally, these straightforward acts of connection in real life, particularly in real time, can substantially enhance well-being. Doing kind deeds for others is another behavior that we are aware has a significant impact on our happiness. Call a loved one instead of going through social media. Ideally, but especially in real time, these basic acts of connection might boost well-being. Another habit that boosts happiness is helping others. trying to become a little bit more other-oriented. This is a spot where we have seriously incorrect intuition. We often think that self-care is the path to happiness, but the evidence really suggests that happy people are much more other-oriented, making an effort to become slightly more other-oriented. Here's an area where our intuition is significantly off. We frequently believe that taking care of oneself is the way to happiness. But research really shows that contented people are far more outgoing, trying to become a little more outward-focused. This is an example of where we have profoundly faulty intuition. We frequently believe that self-care is the key to happiness, yet evidence reveals that happy people are much more outward-focused. I am making an effort to become more conscientious of others. This is an instance in which our intuition is significantly flawed. We frequently believe that self-care is the route to happiness. However, the evidence indicates that individuals who are content are significantly more outward-focused. Learning to care for others. This is a major intuitive error. We think self-care brings happiness, but research shows that happy people are more outward-focused. They're donating more money to charity. They're spending their time volunteering for others. They give more compliments. They're increasing their charitable contributions. They're donating their time to help others. They compliment more people. They're donating more money to charity. They spend their time volunteering for others. They offer more compliments. They're increasing their charitable contributions. They're allocating with their time to volunteer work for others. They offer a greater number of compliments. They donate more to charity. Their time is spent volunteering. They compliment more. Another way that we can rewire our happiness is to change our thought patterns. Do we have a mindset of paying attention to all the negative things, all the hassles in life, or do we have a mindset that focuses more on the blessings? Lots of evidence suggests that happy people focus on the blessings. If you tend not to do that naturally, you can change that thought pattern. Changing the way we think is another method to rewire our happiness. Do we have a mindset that places greater emphasis on the benefits in life, or do we focus on all the bad things and inconveniences? Numerous studies indicate that contented people concentrate on their blessings. You can alter your mental pattern if you don't naturally do that. Another strategy to rewire our happiness is to alter our mental processes. Do we have a mindset that focuses on all of the unpleasant aspects of life, all of the difficulties, or do we have a mindset that focuses on the positive aspects? Lots of evidence demonstrates that happy people concentrate on their blessings. If this is not your normal cognitive pattern, you can modify it. Changing our thought patterns is another method by which we can rewire our contentment. Do we adopt a perspective that prioritizes the blessings of life? Or do we continue to focus on the negative aspects and the difficulties of life? Numerous studies indicate that positive individuals prioritize their blessings. If you are not inclined to do so instinctively, you have the ability to alter that thought pattern. Changing our thoughts can also rewire happiness. Do we focus on the negatives and inconveniences of life or the blessings? Much research reveals that happy people count their blessings. If you don't naturally do it, you can think differently. One fantastic way to do this is simply to just write down 3 to 5 things you're grateful for every night. And this practice can improve your well-being in as little as 2 weeks. Another thought pattern that we can engage to feel happier is paying attention to the good stuff in life. Writing down 3 to 5 things for which you are thankful each night is a great approach to do this. In as little as 2 weeks, this practice can help you feel better. Focusing on the positive aspects of life is another way we might think to be happier. One excellent technique to accomplish this is to simply jot down 3 to 5 things you are grateful for each night. This exercise can boost your well-being in as little as 2 weeks. Another thought pattern that can help us feel better is to focus on the positive aspects of our lives. Simply jotting down 3 to 5 items you are grateful for each night is an excellent method of accomplishing this. In as little as 2 weeks, this practice can enhance your overall health. Another thought pattern that can be employed to achieve happiness is to focus on the positive aspects of existence. One great technique is to jot down 3 to 5 things you're grateful for every night. In just 2 weeks, this practice can enhance your health. Focusing on the positive might also make us happier. One of the reasons our good circumstances don't necessarily lead to happiness is we tend not to notice them. We'll buy a delicious latte that we should be paying attention to and savoring and really enjoying, but we just kind of chug it while we're checking our email. The act of savoring is moving towards paying attention to the good things in life a little bit more. Our tendency to ignore our fortunate circumstances is one of the reasons they don't always translate into happiness. Even though we should be paying attention, tasting, and truly enjoying the delicious latte we purchase, we instead just drink it while reading our email. Savoring is a step toward being slightly more aware of life's positive aspects. One of the reasons our excellent fortunes do not always lead to happiness is that we tend to overlook them. We'll buy a lovely latte that we should appreciate and enjoy, but instead we drink it while checking our emails. The act of savoring encourages people to pay more attention to the positive aspects of life. One of the reasons our favorable circumstances do not necessarily result in pleasure is that we often fail to acknowledge them. We will purchase a delectable latte that we should be relishing and truly appreciating, but we tend to chug it while checking our email. The act of savoring is a step toward a greater appreciation of the positive aspects of existence. Good fortune doesn't always bring happiness since we don't notice it. We buy a lovely latte that we should appreciate, but we drink it while reading our email. Savoring involves focusing on life's pleasures. A final way we can rewire our behavior is to make changes in our body. We often forget that bodies are connected to minds, but they really are. And that means that a really quick way to change how we're feeling emotionally is simply moving our body a little bit more. Making adjustments to our bodies is the last method by which we can rewire our behavior. Although we frequently overlook it, bodies and minds are inextricably linked. Therefore, just moving our bodies a little bit more is a fairly quick approach to shift how we're feeling emotionally. Finally, we can rewire our behavior by making changes to our bodies. We frequently forget that bodies and minds are inextricably linked, yet they truly are. That means that simply exercising our bodies more can quickly transform how we feel emotionally. A final method for rewiring our behavior is to implement changes in our physical appearance. We frequently overlook the fact that bodies are inextricably linked to minds. However, this is the case. This implies that a rapid method of altering our emotional state is to increase our physical activity. Last, we can rewire our behavior by changing our physique. Minds and bodies are interconnected, but we forget. That implies moving more can quickly impact how we feel emotionally. Exercise is intricately connected to our mental health. And it's important to know that this isn't like running a marathon. This is simply just getting your body to move around a little bit more. The relationship between exercise and mental health is complex. It's also critical to understand that this is not the same as running a marathon. This only involves increasing the amount of movement in your body. Exercise is inextricably linked to our mental health. And it's critical to understand that this isn't like running a marathon. This just involves getting your body to move around a little more. Our mental health is inextricably linked to exercise. It is crucial to recognize that this is not comparable to running a marathon. This is merely a matter of increasing the amount of movement in your body. Exercise is crucial to mental wellness. This isn't a marathon, so be aware. This only moves your body more. Even as much as like 20 minutes a day can really improve your well-being. These so-called rewirements, they're really useful for moving from not feeling so good at the time to flourishing a little bit more. This is not necessarily the tools that you might use if you're facing a really serious mental disorder. Your well-being can be greatly enhanced by even 20 minutes a day. These rewirements are incredibly helpful for transitioning from a state of not feeling well to one of slightly better flourishing. If you are dealing with a very significant mental illness, you may not need to use these resources. Even just 20 minutes each day can significantly improve your well-being. These so-called rewirements are extremely beneficial in transitioning from feeling bad to feeling better. This is not necessarily the tools you would use if you were dealing with a severe mental disorder. Even a mere 20 minutes per day can significantly enhance one's overall health. These so-called rewirements are extremely beneficial for transitioning from a state of dissatisfaction to a state of relative flourishing. This is not necessarily the set of instruments that you would employ when you are confronted with a severe mental disorder. Even 20 minutes a day can enhance your health. Rewirements help people improve from feeling bad to flourishing. You may not utilize these techniques for a major mental disorder. Sometimes people think like, oh, I'm suicidally ideating, I should do a gratitude list. So it's like, no. People occasionally think, oh, I'm having suicidal thoughts, I ought to make a list of my appreciation. Alternatively, it's like, no. People sometimes have suicidal thoughts, I should create a gratitude list. It's like, no. At times, individuals may experience thoughts of suicide, such as, I am contemplating suicide. Should I compile a gratitude list? Alternatively, it is equivalent to no. People sometimes assume they're suicidal. Make a gratitude list, like no. That's an acute emergency, and you should really get a special, more acute kind of care. You should see a psychotherapist. Rewirements are just yet another tool in the toolkit that we can all use to be improving our own well-being. You should definitely receive extra, more urgent care because it is an acute emergency. See a psychotherapist, please. Rewirements are just one more tool in the toolbox that each of us can use to enhance our personal well-being. That is an acute emergency, and you should receive specialized care. You should consult a psychotherapist. Rewirements are simply another tool in the toolbox that we may all utilize to improve our personal well-being. It is imperative that you receive specialized, more urgent care. As this is an acute emergency, it is recommended that you consult with a psychotherapist. Rewirements are merely another instrument in the toolkit that we can all employ to enhance our personal well-being. You need special care for an acute emergency. Psychotherapy is recommended. Rewirements are another tool we can employ to improve our health. We're going to have moments of anger. We're going to have moments of sadness. We're going to have moments of fear or frustration or overwhelm. There will be times when we get angry. There will be sad moments for us. There will be times when we feel overwhelmed, scared, or frustrated. We'll have some angry times. We will experience moments of despair. We'll experience moments of anxiety, irritation, or overload. We will experience periods of anger. Inevitably, we will experience periods of deep sorrow. We will experience moments of dread, frustration, or overwhelm. Angry moments are coming. Moments of sadness are coming. We'll feel fear, frustration, or overload. That's part of being human. Our negative emotions are signals that are telling us something really important. Our sadness is there to tell us, hey, you're missing something in life. That is a characteristic of humanity. Our bad feelings serve as warning signs for something very significant. Our grief serves as a reminder that there is something in life that we are missing. That is part of being human. Negative emotions are signs that tell us something really significant. Our grief tells us that we are lacking something in life. That is a characteristic of the human experience. Our negative emotions are indicators that instruct us on matters of importance. Our sorrow serves as a reminder that we are neglecting an essential aspect of existence. Humanity includes that. Negative emotions reveal essential information. Sadness tells us we're missing something. You might need to make changes. You might need to reach out to a friend. Negative emotions are normative in certain circumstances. Changes may be necessary. It may be necessary for you to contact a buddy. Some situations, negative feelings are normal. You may need to make modifications. You might need to contact a buddy. Negative emotions are normal in certain situations. It may be necessary to implement modifications. It may be necessary for you to contact a friend. In specific situations, negative emotions are considered the norm. You may need adjustments. You may need a pal. Negative feelings are normal sometimes. So we shouldn't try to wish them away. We just need to be able to regulate them in positive ways. The key, though, is that you have to put these strategies into practice. Therefore, we must not attempt to wish them gone. All we have to do is manage them in constructive ways. However, it is imperative that you implement these tactics. So let's not try to wish them away. We simply need to be able to regulate them in beneficial ways. The key, however, is to implement these strategies. Therefore, we should refrain from attempting to wish them away. It is sufficient for us to regulate them in a manner that is beneficial. However, it is imperative to implement these strategies. We shouldn't wish them away. We need to positively regulate them. The trick is to apply these tactics. You can't just learn about them. It turns out that knowing from a cognitive science perspective, it's not half the battle. The real work is putting the things you learn into practice. Learning about them is not enough. From the standpoint of cognitive research, it turns out that knowing is just half the fight. Putting what you learn into practice is the actual labor. You can't simply learn about them. According to cognitive science, knowing is only half of the battle. The real labor is putting what you've learned into practice. It is not sufficient to acquire knowledge regarding them. It has been discovered that comprehending from a cognitive science standpoint is only half of the battle. The genuine challenge is to apply the knowledge you have acquired. You can't merely study them. Knowing isn't half the battle, according to cognitive scientists. Applying what you learn is the hard part. We understand the right things to do and put those things into practice. We really can significantly change our levels of happiness. Are you happy all the time? If not, why not? If so, why? Spirit is where all comes from, right? It's the spirit of your soul, the spirit of your heart that makes you happy. It's not the external things, as we all know, and yet most of our society gears us up for all the externals. We are aware of the proper course of action and follow it. We have the power to drastically alter our happiness levels. Do you always feel happy? Why not? If not, why if so? Spirit is the source of everything, isn't it? Your happiness is derived from the spirit of your heart and soul. As we are all aware, it is not the outside factors. Nevertheless, the majority of our culture prepares us for everything outside of us. We comprehend what is right and practice it. We can definitely vary our degrees of happiness. Are you always happy? Why not? If so, explain why. All things originate from the spirit, right? You are pleased because of the spirit of your soul and heart. It's not about external factors, as we all know. Nonetheless, the majority of our culture prepares us for all externalities. We comprehend the appropriate actions to take and implement them. We have the ability to substantially alter our levels of happiness. Are you consistently content? If not, what is the reason? In that event, what is the rationale? Spirit is the source of all things, correct? The spirit of your psyche and the spirit of your heart are the factors that contribute to your happiness. As we are all aware, it is not the external factors. However, the majority of our society prepares us for all of the external factors. We know and do the correct things. We can drastically affect our happiness. Are you always happy? If not, why? If so, why? All comes from spirit, right? The spirit of your soul and heart makes you happy. We know it's not external. However, most of civilization prepares us for externals. And when the externals don't work out so well, or when we're in a winter or challenging time, sometimes that happiness disappears. A fulfilling life is a meaningful life. It doesn't feel happy every moment, but it can be meaningful every moment. And occasionally that happiness vanishes when things outside of us don't go as planned, or when we're going through a difficult period like winter. A meaningful life is a fulfilling one. Though it doesn't always seem joyful, it can always have purpose. And when things don't go as planned, or when we're in the midst of a winter or a difficult period, that happiness fades. A fulfilling life is a meaningful one. It is not always enjoyable, but it can be meaningful at all times. And occasionally, that pleasure dissipates when the external circumstances are unfavorable, or when we are experiencing a winter or difficult period. An existence that is meaningful is one that is fulfilling. It is not possible to experience happiness at every moment. However, each moment can be significant. Sometimes enjoyment evaporates when externals don't go well, like during cold or difficult times. A fulfilling existence is meaningful. Not every moment is enjoyable, but every moment is meaningful. And happiness is a habit, and it's one that we don't value as much. But how great is life if you achieve everything you want and you're not happy? Not very. Furthermore, contentment is a habit. We also don't place as much importance on it. However, what good is life if you get everything you desire but are still unhappy? Not very much. Happiness is a habit, and it is one we do not place a high value on. Yet how good is life if you have everything you desire yet are unhappy? Not very. Additionally, contentment is a recurring pattern. Additionally, it is one that we do not place as much importance on. But how fulfilling is life if you accomplish all of your goals yet remain unhappy? Insufficient. Happiness is habitual. We don't value it as much. How amazing is life if you get everything you desire but are unhappy? Not much. When I did Money Master the Game, I interviewed these billionaires, one after another, 50 of them, all self-made. So it wasn't people that were spoiled or somebody who gave them what they had. But there are probably 4 of them. And it's just my judgment. I could be wrong, that are really happy people. These 50 self-made billionaires were interviewed by me for Money Master the Game, one after the other. Therefore, it wasn't anyone who gave them what they had or spoiled them. However, there are most likely 4 of them, and I may be mistaken, but they seem like really content individuals. When I wrote Money Master the Game, I interviewed 50 millionaires in succession, all of whom were self-made. So it wasn't a case of folks being spoiled or someone giving them what they had. But there may be 4 of them who were quite happy, and this is just my opinion. I could be wrong. During the production of Money Master the Game, I conducted interviews with 50 self-made billionaires, one after the other. Therefore, it was not individuals who were pampered or someone who provided them with what they had. However, there are likely 4 of them, and it is solely my opinion. I may be mistaken. They are individuals who are exceedingly content. I interviewed 50 self-made billionaires for Money Master the Game, so they weren't spoiled or given what they had. I think 4 of them are happy, but I could be mistaken. And they have everything they could have ever dreamed with, times 10 or 20 or 100 or 1,000. And so the secret, really, you've heard us talk before about beautiful states. When you get in certain states, you think one thought, and they have 10, 20, 100, or 1,000 times everything they could have ever imagined. The trick is that you've heard us discuss lovely states before. You only think one thing while you're in a certain state. And they have everything they could ever want multiplied by 10, 20, 100, or 1,000. So the secret essentially is something we've talked about before. Lovely states. When you are in certain states, you have a single thought. Additionally, they possess everything they could have ever imagined, multiplied by 10, 20, 100, or 1,000. Therefore, the secret, in essence, is something that we have previously discussed in relation to the beauty of states. When you are in specific states, you have a single notion. They have everything they could want, times 10 or 20, 100 or 1,000. The secret is, you've heard us talk about lovely states. In certain states, you think one thing. When you get in other states, you think another thought. It's like turning the channel. And so what I really show people in the book how to do is how to turn the channel so that you're not suffering and you're living in a beautiful state, because there isn't anything more important. You have different thoughts when you're in different states. It's similar like flipping a channel. Because there's nothing more important, I actually demonstrate in the book how to change the channel so that you are not suffering and are living in a beautiful state. When you get to various states, you have different thoughts. It's like changing the channel. So what I actually show people in the book is how to change the channel so that you're not suffering and live in a wonderful state, because there is nothing more important. Upon arriving in other states, you entertain an alternative perspective. It is akin to changing the channel. Therefore, the primary lesson I impart in the book is how to redirect the focus so that one is not experiencing suffering and is instead living in a lovely state, as there is nothing more significant. When in another state you think differently, this is like changing channels. I explain to individuals in the book how to flip the channel so you're not suffering and live in a wonderful state, since nothing is more essential. And because the times are in, it's even more important. Good times make weak people make tough times. And it's much more crucial now because of the times. Those who are happy tend to be weak. Tough circumstances are caused by weak individuals. And now that the time has come, it is even more crucial. Good times weaken individuals. Weak people cause difficult situations. Additionally, it is of even greater significance due to the current circumstances. Individuals are susceptible to weakness during periods of prosperity. Tough circumstances are exacerbated by individuals who are weak. The times make it even more crucial. Happiness weakens people. Weak people cause problems. Tough times make strong people, and strong people make good time, but you got to be strong internally so you can enjoy yourself. Strong people come from adversity. Strong people also have fun. But in order to have fun, you must be strong on the inside. Tough situations breed strong people, and strong individuals have a fantastic time. However, in order to have fun, you must be mentally strong. Strong individuals are forged by difficult circumstances. Strong individuals are also able to have a nice time. However, it is imperative that you are internally resilient in order to fully appreciate yourself. Tough times build character. People that are strong have fun, but you must be strong inwardly to enjoy yourself. Could you enjoy yourself in the middle of winter? We for years talk about prepare, winter's coming. Well, winter's here, but we're not through it. And the worst part, the more challenging parts of winter, still are coming. Would you be able to have fun in the dead of winter? We have been talking about getting ready for winter for years. Winter has here, but it's not over yet. The worst part is that winter's more difficult months are still to come. Could you enjoy yourself in the midst of winter? We've been talking for years about preparing for winter. Winter has here, but it is far from over. The saddest part is that the more difficult parts of winter are still ahead. Would you be able to appreciate yourself during the winter? For years, we have discussed the necessity of preparing for the impending winter. Winter has arrived, but it is not yet over. The worst part is that the more difficult portions of winter are yet to come. Could you enjoy winter? We've talked about winter preparation for years. Winter has here, but it's not over. The saddest aspect is that winter's hardest parts are coming. And this season called winter, we all experience it. You've had winters in your emotions. You have winters in your relationships. And we all go through this time of year called winter. You've experienced emotional winters. In your relationships, there are winters. And we all endure the season known as winter. You have experienced emotional winters. You have winters in your relationships. Winter is a season that we all encounter. You have experienced emotional winters. Your relationships are characterized by winters. All of us experience winter. You had emotional winters. You have relationship winters. But this type of external winter is much more intense externally, which means if you don't manage the inside, it's going to be a rough road. But if you manage the inside, it can be the most beautiful time of your life. So I'm not here to say be happy, just positive thinking. It will be a difficult journey if you don't control the interior, though, because this kind of cold is considerably more severe on the outside. However, it might be the most beautiful period of your life if you handle the inside. Therefore, I'm not here to preach happiness. I'm here to encourage optimistic thinking. However, this form of external winter is considerably more extreme. So if you don't handle the inside, it'll be a tough path. However, if you handle the inside, it might be the most beautiful period of your life. So I'm not here to urge be happy, but rather to encourage positive thinking. However, this form of external winter is significantly more severe from an external perspective. Consequently, if the internal situation is not adequately addressed, the journey will be exceedingly difficult. However, it may be the most attractive period of your life if you are able to manage the internal aspects. Yeah, I'm not here to encourage you to be cheerful. Rather, I am here to encourage you to adopt a positive mindset. However, this winter is more extreme outwardly, so if you don't handle the interior, it'll be difficult. Managing the inside can make it the most wonderful period of your life. I'm not saying be happy, just think positively. I'm here to say this is not only a survival, but a thriving tool. This is the tool this week. You want to really envelop yourself. I'm here to tell you that this is a tool for thriving, not just survival. This week's tool is this one. You should truly immerse yourself. I'm here to tell you that this is a tool for thriving, not just survival. This is the tool for this week. You want to completely engulf oneself. I am present to assert that this is not only a survival tool, but also a thriving one. The instrument for this week is as follows. You desire to completely envelop yourself. I say this is a survival and thriving tool. This week's tool, you want a cocoon. This is the time to recharge, to re-engineer yourself. Because if you think about it, if you're not going to run a race, you're going to go like a Baja race. They go 1,000 miles across the desert. Now is the moment to rejuvenate and redesign oneself, because when you consider it, you will participate in a Baja race if you choose not to run a race. They traverse the desert for 1,000 miles. Now's the moment to refuel and re-engineer yourself, because if you don't run a race, you'll end up going like a Baja race. They travel 1,000 miles over the desert. This is the moment to rejuvenate and restructure oneself. Because if you consider it, if you do not participate in a race, you will behave similarly to a Baja race. They traverse the desert for 1,000 miles. Recharge and re-engineer yourself. Consider that if you don't run, you'll go like a Baja race. They cross 1,000 arid miles. And you take your beautiful Mercedes to do that. It ain't going to work. Mercedes is an expensive car. And to do it, you drive your gorgeous Mercedes. It will not succeed. A Mercedes is a costly vehicle. And you drive your lovely Mercedes to do it. It's not going to work. Mercedes is a costly automobile. You undertake this task in your exquisite Mercedes, it won't function. Mercedes is a costly automobile. You do that in your luxurious Mercedes, not going to work. Mercedes costs so much. It's a beautiful car. It's a well-made car. It'll be destroyed in that race. The automobile is stunning. The automobile is well-made. In that race, it will be annihilated. It's a gorgeous automobile. It's a well-built automobile. It will be annihilated in the race. It is an exquisite automobile. It is an automobile that is of exceptional quality. The race will result in its destruction. Beautiful vehicle, well-made automobile. That race will destroy it. You will not finish the race. You have to have it be adapted, re-engineered to go 1,000 miles in the desert. And I'm suggesting to you this idea of fulfillment, this idea of being able to find happiness or even joy. It'll start with acceptance, accepting the things we can't change. The race won't be completed by you. It must be modified and redesigned to travel 1,000 miles in the desert. And I'm telling you that the first step in achieving this sense of fulfillment, this idea of finding happiness or even joy, is to accept the things we cannot alter. You will not complete the race. You must adapt and re-engineer it to travel 1,000 kilometers in the desert. And I'm arguing to you that the concept of fullness, the ability to achieve contentment or even joy, begins with acceptance, accepting the things we can't alter. The race will not be completed by you. It must be re-engineered and adapted to operate in the desert for a distance of 1,000 miles. And I'm suggesting to you that the concept of fulfillment, the concept of being able to find happiness or even joy, will commence with acceptance, the acceptance of the things we cannot alter. Failure to finish the race. It must be redesigned to run 1,000 miles in the desert. In order to obtain fulfillment, pleasure, or joy, we must accept what we can't alter. Knowing the things we can and doing something about it's very different. But there are certain things you can't change, otherwise you're going to be miserable all the time. There is a big difference between knowing what we can do and really taking action. However, certain things are beyond your control. If you don't, you will always be miserable. Knowing what we can do and actually doing it are two very different things, but there are some things you cannot change. Otherwise, you'll be miserable all the time. It is a significant distinction between recognizing the things that we can do and taking action to address them. However, there are certain aspects of life that are beyond your control. Otherwise, you will be perpetually miserable. Understanding what we can and acting on it are different, but certain things are unchangeable. Otherwise, you'll always be miserable. And once you get to acceptance, you can find appreciation. And once you find appreciation, you can start to find something to actually perhaps love or enjoy or be grateful for. And the more we do that, we develop these habits. Then in the middle of winter, you're going to have a killer time. And you can discover appreciation when you reach acceptance. And when you discover gratitude, you might begin to discover something for which you may truly adore, appreciate, or feel thankful. And the more we do that and form these habits, the more fun you'll have in the dead of winter. Acceptance leads to admiration. And once you've found appreciation, you may start looking for things to love, appreciate, or feel grateful for. And the more we do it and build these habits, the better our chances of having a great time in the heart of winter. And once you have reached acceptance, you can discover appreciation. And once you have discovered appreciation, you can begin to identify something that you may genuinely love, enjoy, or be grateful for. And the more we engage in this activity, the more we establish these routines. Consequently, you will have an unforgettable winter. Acceptance leads to admiration. After finding appreciation, you can find something to love, appreciate, or feel grateful for. We'll have a blast in winter if we acquire these behaviors. And more importantly, your state will envelop the people you love. Your state will be the leader. You will drive the state by your example because it'll be so rare. More significantly, the people you care about will be affected by your state. The leader will be your state. Because it will be so uncommon, you will lead by example. More significantly, your state will engulf those you love. Your state will take the lead. Because your example will be so uncommon, you will be the driving force in the state. More importantly, the individuals you cherish will be enveloped by your state. The state in question will assume the position of leader. The state will be influenced by your example, as it will be exceedingly uncommon. Most significantly, your state will embrace your loved ones. Your state will lead. You'll lead the state with your rare example. There's lots of different kinds of happiness. You can have rock star happiness. You all know what that is. There are many distinct types of happiness. You may be happy like a rock star. Everyone is aware of what that is. There are many distinct types of happiness. You can experience rockstar happiness. You are all aware of what that is. There are numerous varieties of pleasure. It is possible to experience the joy of a rock hero. You are all aware of the term. Happiness comes in many forms. You can be rockstar happy. All know what that is. That's just pure pleasure. You get what you want. That's rockstar happiness. That is just pure joy. You receive what you desire. Rock stars are happy like that. That's pure bliss. You get everything you want. That is rockstar happiness. That is simply unadulterated joy. You obtain what you desire. That is the joy of a rock celebrity. That's genuine joy. Get what you want. Rockstar joy. How long does it last? You get what you want. You're so excited. You get it. What is the duration? You receive what you desire. You are ecstatic. You understand. How long does this last? You get everything you want. You're quite excited. You got it. How long does it last? You obtain what you desire. You are exceedingly enthusiastic. You comprehend the situation. It lasts how long? Get what you want. You're thrilled. You understand. How long are you excited? How long are you happy? 10 years from that moment. A year, 6 months, a few hours. That's nice. What's the second kind of happiness? Passion happiness. Passion happiness is flow. For what length of time are you anticipating? For what length of time are you content? In 10 years, a year, half a year, a couple of hours, that's good. Which type of enjoyment is the second? Fervent joy, flow, is passion happiness. How long have you been excited? How long have you been happy? What about 10 years from now? 1 year, 6 months, several hours, that is nice. What is the second type of happiness? Passion brings happiness. Passion and happiness are in the flow. What is the duration of your excitement? What is the duration of your happiness? 10 years from that moment, is it a year? Is it 6 months? A few hours? That is quite pleasant. What is the second form of happiness? Happiness is the result of passion. Flow is the essence of passion and pleasure. You excited for how long? How long are you glad? 10 years from then? A year? 6 months? A couple hours? Very great. Happiness, second type. Joyful passion. Passion is flow bliss. That's when you're doing something and you disappear. It's when you do something you love and you disappear. You're doing something for your family, your kids, or your work or something, and you're so into it that you're in this flow state. That's when you're engaged in an activity and you vanish. It's when you do what you love and then you're gone. You're in a state of flow when you're working on a project for your family, your children, your job, or something else. That is when you're doing something and then disappear. It's when you do something you enjoy and disappear. You're in this flow state because you were doing something for your family, kids, work, or whatever else and are completely immersed in it. This occurs when you are engaged in a task and you vanish. It occurs when you engage in an activity that you enjoy and then vanish. You are completely absorbed in a task that is either for your family, your children, or your job, and you are in a state of flow. When you disappear while doing anything, when you disappear after doing something you enjoy, so into anything for your family, kids, or work that you're in flow, that's a beautiful, beautiful form of happiness. And you can have that in any season. But then there's a higher level of happiness that has greater duration, and that's purpose happiness. When you feel like you've got a purpose beyond yourself, when you're trying to serve something beyond yourself, you won't be worried about winter so much. You can experience that kind of enjoyment at any time of year, and it's very lovely. Purpose happiness, on the other hand, is a higher degree of enjoyment that lasts longer. You won't be as concerned about winter when you believe that you are meant to serve something greater than yourself. That is a stunningly beautiful sort of enjoyment that may be experienced at any time of year. However, there is a higher level of happiness that lasts longer, known as purpose happiness. When you believe you have a purpose beyond yourself and are attempting to serve something greater than yourself, you will be less concerned about winter. That is an exquisite form of joy, and it is accessible regardless of the season. However, there is a more profound form of happiness that is more enduring, and that is purposeful happiness. You will be less concerned about winter when you feel that you have a purpose that extends beyond yourself and are striving to serve something greater than yourself. In whatever season, you can experience that exquisite bliss. Purpose satisfaction is longer lasting. Winter won't bother you as much if you feel like you're serving something bigger. It's like someone dies in the family and a bunch of people go into grief, and one person, they don't seem to go into as much grief because they're busy taking care of everybody else. As a result, they find the strength because they're here to serve something more than themselves. And because relationship is the ultimate happiness, and it's friendships that are that happiness. When someone in the family passes away, it seems like everyone is devastated. But one person seems to be spared the sadness since they are too busy caring for everyone else. Because they are here to serve a purpose greater than themselves, they therefore discover strength. Additionally, friendships are the source of happiness, and relationships are the pinnacle of happiness. It's as if someone in the family dies and a lot of people mourn, but one person doesn't seem to grieve as much because they're too busy caring for everyone else. As a result, they discover their strength since they are here to serve something greater than themselves. And because friendships are the ultimate source of happiness. It is as if a member of the family passes away and a number of individuals experience sorrow. However, the individual in question appears to experience less grief due to their obligations to care for others. Consequently, they derive fortitude from the fact that they are present to serve a cause that is greater than their own. And because alliances are the source of the ultimate happiness, relationships are the ultimate source of happiness. Like when a family member dies, and everyone grieves, but one individual doesn't seem to grieve as much because they're busy taking care of everyone else. Because they serve something greater, they gain strength because friendships bring the most delight. It's your children, it's your family, it's your spouse, it's your lover. All of those is where the deepest, long-lasting happiness comes from. Make sure you have all types of happiness available to you. It is your husband, your lover, your family, and your children. The source of the most profound and enduring enjoyment is all of those. Make sure you have access to all forms of enjoyment. It's your children, family, husband, and lover. All of these are the sources of the deepest and most lasting happiness. Make sure you have access to a variety of happiness options. It is your spouse, your lover, your offspring, and your family. The most profound and enduring satisfaction is derived from all of these. Ensure that you have access to a variety of sources of joy. Your children, family, spouse, and lover, all of those bring lasting satisfaction. Give yourself all kinds of bliss. You can play with them all, but make sure that purpose happiness gets expanded. So a question that has to come up is, what gets in the way of happiness? Is happiness something that we have naturally? So a question that has to come up is, what gets in the way of happiness? Is happiness something that we have naturally? We can choose happiness because it is a choice. You not experience life. All of them are yours to play with, but make sure that happiness is expanded. Therefore, it is necessary to ask what prevents people from being happy. Does having happiness come easily to us? Therefore, it is necessary to ask what prevents people from being happy. Does having happiness come easily to us? Since happiness is a choice, we have the ability to select it. Life is not something you experience. You can play with them all, but make sure your purpose happiness grows. So, what gets in the way of happiness? Is happiness something that comes naturally? So what gets in the way of happiness? Is happiness something that comes naturally? We can choose happiness because it is an option. You do not have any life experience. It is permissible to experiment with each one. However, it is imperative that the scope of purposeful pleasure be broadened. Therefore, the issue that must be addressed is, what impediments happiness? Is happiness an inherent state of being? Therefore, the issue that must be addressed is, what impediments happiness? Is happiness an inherent state of being? We have the ability to choose pleasure, as it is a choice. Life is not experienced by you. Play with them all, but increase purpose satisfaction. The question is, what prevents happiness? Does happiness come naturally? The question is, what prevents happiness? Does happiness come naturally? Because happiness is a choice. You lack life.